In 1948, the governments of the world, the United Nations, passed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's really the best document written for all of us citizens of the world. It's the very best document ever written. And so my idea would be that since it's the best document, to protect us. And it stops the mighty and helps the weak. And I think that's a great thing. And so my idea is nobody knows about it. Less than 1% of the world even know about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So my idea is like, well, let's print on all our passports. And then we'd all stand in airports looking at one another and talk about, hey, these are our rights. And I think, like Dr. King used the Constitution and Bill of Rights, it was something he could point to bigger than himself. And I think the average citizen, when they're tortured, disappeared, abused by government, bad laws, they could point up the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So the struggle becomes bigger than themselves. It's not just an ego protection, but it's actually the protection of standards all over the world. And so if we know we have rights, and knowledge is power. And so what I want to do is, get the Universal Declaration on every table of governments, the table of every home, the table of every school system. So we all know our rights, we all fight for them and protect them, because freedom isn't free. You got to work for freedom, and you got to wake up every day and protect it one more time, because it's a very precious thing in the world. Get governments to print their own literature in their own documents, so they own it. And when we go to complain about it, they know it's theirs and ours. So it's not like, oh, gee, what's that? We say, we're pointing to your law, pal. This is what we want. And it says here you can't be tortured. It says you can travel. That's what we want to do. Set standards the same for everybody all over the world. So it's a level playing field, and we all play equally well. We meet each other as equals. That's a great world. The governments don't want to owe up to their responsibility. So if they advertise that this is truly their document, then they have to feed the world. They have to allow people to travel. Your right to organize if you're in labor. These are things people don't want you to know. But you have the rights. And they're our rights since 1948. So I want to implement that. And then we all know, and you can point to it. You can walk into a government office and say, my wife has been raped down there, and these soldiers are doing that. They got to stop it. This says it's got to stop it. It's beyond that person arguing for himself and his family. It gives them a document. This is as close as you can get to the American passport without being arrested. So what I did was reprint them in such a way as you could get a good feeling of how the Universal Declaration of Human Rights would look inside of the passport. And so as you page through this, you would then come to, say, on page 9 of your own, your own passport. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Imagine reading that somewhere in the world, like, for instance, where the human rights are massive abuses now, say Central Africa. Women could read that. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel and unusual punishment or degrading treatment. Do you imagine if that's kept by government in the world, and everybody knows that's their right? We can all scream together and stop governments from doing that. And as you page through it, you find out these are all our rights. And you just keep going. It's just lovely to know all these things, because knowledge is power. For instance, here is the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work. Could you imagine what that would do for all the coal miners in the world? They have the right conditions in those coal mines. So I see this as the power of the citizen to get their government to do what they're supposed to do. So I'd love to see the Declaration of Human Rights in every passport in the world. I would hope my own country, the United States, would wise up, jump into human rights, become the ideal in the world of really protecting everybody's rights, from the indigenous people all the way up. And we glory, in our shame in a way. We glory in our shame in our history because we're correcting it and setting it right. And then we become the beacon in the world again, which we're now not that beacon. But restore that bright light of what freedom means, and join all freedom people in the world. making it a better world for everybody. So every little kid's safe, every little girl's safe. They get something to eat, get a doctor, they get a place to stay. These are basic things. These are what parents want for their children. It's just human rights. That's all it's about. So let's go ahead and do that. It's about time we do it.